also help your back and as well as your quads. But before we get started, I would love your support by subscribing, turning on the notifications bell, and leaving a comment and or sharing with friends and family that would find this beneficial. Today, we're actually gonna start off with the couch stretch. So I'm gonna go over by the wall. Notice there was a mat right there. I'm gonna be using a mat. You don't have to use a mat, but my bony knees like a mat. So we're gonna go over to the floor or the wall, excuse me. You're gonna start off with your knee on the ab mat. You're gonna place your shin up against the wall, ankle as flat as possible. So notice that my toe and hip or toe and heel are aligned. Make sure the heel isn't pushed out like so. So make sure it's in a line. Then a couple different variations here. One, if you're really tight, keep your knee and shin of your opposite leg down, and you're just gonna push those hips forward. You should feel this in the front of your hip, specifically your psoas, hip flexor, TFL, possibly even a little bit of the quad. If this is not really feeling it for you, you're not really feeling a stretch, the second option here is to elevate that bottom knee, bringing the foot underneath your hip bone almost so that you're getting a calf stretch in that front leg. From here, you can kind of push those hips forward. If you're not feeling it here, then you walk that leg further out. And then I have my ankle underneath my knee or knee on top of my ankle. Then from here, I can even walk my hands up and then push my hips forward. If it's screaming at you and you know it's too much, then bring your hands back down to the floor, knuckles or palms, and you're gonna hold here for 1 minute. If this is the first time doing this stretch, start with 30 seconds, then work your way up to that minute, eventually 2 minutes, and eventually 3 minutes, and then even longer. This is a great stretch to open up the front of the hip flexors, and I'm just gonna show kind of from a profile of what I'm doing in this exercise here. You will do both legs, obviously. So again, imagine the wall's kind of behind me. If you don't have a wall, this is another option to do. You grab the back side of your ankle, hand grabs the ankle or foot, whatever you can grab. Try not to grab the ankle down here, excuse me, so foot or top of the foot, excuse me, because ankle, see how that foot gets into a neutral position versus being extended here. You want that extension that's gonna pull a little more of that stretch in the hip flexor and psoas. So this is another option if you don't have a wall, anything to push against. Whether you have your left arm, right arm on your left leg, doesn't matter, opposite. One might feel easier, but you're gonna push those hips forward and hold for that 1 minute, then you'll switch and do the other side. That's the first exercise. Also, before we move on to the second exercise, if you guys are looking for any equipment gear for a home gym or trainers, i.e. training shoes, you can check out the link below. The GoRec is having a sale right now. They have a 4th of July, Christmas in July sale. You can use the discount code below, GoMargo, for any shoe. If you're looking for sandbags, you can do train with sand, so TWS Margot, and that'll give you sandbag discount on those bags. I'll put the links below so you guys see them. Second exercise, we are going to be using the ab mat still. We're now going to place that leg or knee down on the ab mat, kind of like a pigeon pose. You're going to bring your opposite foot behind the ankle. So notice how I kind of rotate my left ankle in. Right knee is going to come behind that ankle, and I'm using that as kind of like a barrier. From here, I want to think of trying to push my bone, my femur bone here through my butt or glute. So from here position, I want to think just not being kind of static, but I want to actively push down. That's going to feel like this leg is going up. I can stay elevated here, or I can even come down to my forearms, and that's going to push my femur bone through that butt cheek. I'm not actually pushing it through, but I want you to think of actually trying to intentionally get that stretch. You're gonna feel this in the piriformis, which is the middle of the butt right here. You might also feel in the TFL, which is that side, the tensor fasciae lata, one of the hip flexors on the side. So again, you're gonna hold here. You can kind of rock side to side, forward and back, right? Then you can switch, same thing. I'm gonna show you guys from the other side what it looks like. So notice again, that shin is almost not vertical, but at an angle. Back leg kind of locks that ankle in. Then I push my knee down, and then I can again stay elevated in my palms or come down onto my forearms. The goal and the intention here again is to open up the hip flexor. So we've gotten the kind of the front side of our hip, the front side of our quad, side of the hip, and then also back of the hip. So now we're actually going to work a little bit more of an inner thigh stretch, which is going to help. So we're going to take the ab mat out and we're going to do a butterfly stretch. So a couple different variations. You can either go 1 feet close to your groin, or you can do 2 feet far away from your groin. That was my hip popping. So you're on your sit bones. You're gonna bring the soles of your feet together. Hopefully you guys can still hear. I have 2 options. I'm gonna create more of a diamond shape, right? If I'm really tight. If I'm more flexible, I can bring my feet closer in. I'm gonna grab my toes, and then I'm slowly gonna round myself forward. You're gonna feel this in your inner thighs, also side of the hips. 2 options here. If you're very flexible and you've brought your feet all the way in, you then can try to flatten your back. You guys can kind of see my back here. Flatten your back and then hinge only from the hips, not rounding the back. If you're super tight and that's not doable, After you've pushed your feet out, you can then round your spine and back like so to get more flexion in that back. So remember, flexion is rounding forward or closing into the joint. Extension is reaching away from that joint or getting into extension of those vertebrae, muscles, joints, etc. So again, these are 3 different stretches you guys need to start with. If you're looking for more mobility tips and tricks, please feel free to comment below. Let me know you'd like to see more of. If you found this beneficial, sharing, subscribing, and leaving a comment would be greatly beneficial for me. Any of the links that I share support me. Again, if you're looking for the gear for training, like sandbags right there, sandbags, or you're looking for training, shoes training, boots training, anything you might need, check out GoRuck's website. They have a sale right now. And any of you guys that use the link or the specific code, that will actually help supporting my channel and supporting myself. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a wonderful 4th of July, and I will see you guys soon for the next live video. Take care.